The old courtroom falls silent. Rain taps against the tall windows as 12 jurors stare toward the witness stand. A grieving mother clutches a handkerchief in her trembling hands. Across the room, a nervous doctor avoids eye contact. And seated at the defense table, a husband accused of murder. This may be an all too common sight in today's culture of highly televised courtroom proceedings, but make no mistake, this is no ordinary trial. The reason for that is quite simple. As it turns out, the prosecution's star witness is, well, dead. Tonight we travel back to the hills of West Virginia in 1897, to a case so bizarre it would become the only known murder conviction in American history, allegedly influenced by testimony from a ghost. You've heard that right, from a ghost. As for the ghost in question, well, they called her the Greenbrier Ghost. In her life, her real name was Zona Hester Shue, a young woman who was sadly found dead under mysterious circumstances in her home. At first, doctors ruled it natural causes. The case was closed almost as quickly as it began, but then the dreams started. Night after night, Zona's mother claimed her daughter appeared at the foot of her bed, pale, silent at first, and then angry. She said Zona's spirit revealed the horrifying truth of what really happened inside that house, and named the man responsible. Most people would dismiss it as grief, a hallucination, a mother unable to let go. But one local prosecutor listened. And what happened next would lead to exhumations, shocking medical evidence, and a courtroom battle that blurred the line between justice and the supernatural. So dim the lights, take that first slow sip, and ask yourself the following question. Should a ghost be able to testify against the person who murdered them?
So I have some bad news. I wasn't recording.
Why wouldn't you just stop me halfway through?
You were doing so good.
What the fuck, dude? Stop me, dude.
No, I'm kidding. I was recording.
You're a piece of dog, dude.
Oh, God. No, that was really good. Good job. Anyways, so yeah. The Greenbrier Ghost.
You know what? You're going to fucking yell at me for asking this too, but wasn't like listen. Because every time I ask a question that I think about off the top of my head, right? Because I don't, maybe you want me to do the homework and read the script ahead of time. Maybe you want me to go into it blind. I don't know. But I thought, what year is this? Has it totally 1897. Okay, yeah. So this is the first one. Okay, because I was thinking, the devil made me do it case. I thought that was the first one where it was like,
that's a good one to do. We should do that sometime, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think we have that written on the top.
Devil made me do it.
That's a creepy one. That's also another like
that was another instance of supernatural like
evidence. Demonic possession being used as the cause of committing the crime.
Instead of like
insanity.
I'm insane or something. It's like, oh, I didn't do it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Although I am literally shooting from the hip here. But I do believe like, and no, it is not like, this is not saying demons are real, but like with quotations, demonic possession. I actually think that's like in the, what is it? The psychology book that of like psychological illnesses, the DSM, I don't know. But I do believe that demonic possession, again with quotations, is actually in that book as a mental illness. You believe in
demonic possession?
Hey guys, it's Future Austin. Just want to let you know I'm in the middle of editing, and so I just wanted to read this little tidbit of info. Demonic possession is actually not recognized as a psychiatric or medical diagnosis in the DSM. However, it is categorized, experiences like this are categorized under dissociative identity disorder, or DID. Specifically, it includes a possession form variant where alternate identities present as a spirit, supernatural entity, or demon taking over the person's body. So technically incorrect, but still kind of mentioned in there, so that's kind of cool. But it's the person believes that they're possessed. they're I mean, if you believe in that stuff, then yes, of course.
Sounds like you believe in it.
I'm just saying this stuff is enough for psychologist stuff to put it in there. Like, so it's something, which is I think is pretty crazy, honestly.
What do you think about demonic possession? Real?
What do I think about demonic possessions? No, I don't believe they're real. So it's kind of funny, actually. I have like a kind of a conundrum because I'm not, you've known me long enough, and we've done this long enough, and I've expressed my
too much.
Too long, dude. You realize
too long.
You realize soon, like seriously, like
no, it's been like 10, 11 years.
In the next, what is it? In the next decade, we'll have known each other for more than half our lives.
Shut the fuck up.
I think that's actually accurate.
Fuck up, dude.
It's crazy. It's
10 years ago, dude.
2015 does
and
not
it just
seem that long ago.
Went by like that.
I mean, it's.
Oh, what are we gonna do in the afterlife, dude? Just
do this.
Worms are just gonna eat my body, dude.
I mean, it depends. You're gonna get buried, or you're gonna get cremated, or you're gonna get blasted off into space. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I might just rent my. I might just. I've thought too, like, be nice just to rent, like, and no, like, not for weird sex stuff, but just rent out your body to people, to, like, freak people out. Hey, you want to
like weird sex stuff?
I mean, like, that'd be a stipulation. You can't do any weird sex stuff with my body. But yeah, you want to, like, freak out someone, shove me in someone's trunk? Go for it. Do it. Why not?
I think I would want to be cremated, and then someone just like wherever you are, whether you're dead or alive, like just like throw it in your face, like throw it on your grave, just like really fucking get up in your fucking face, and just like be like, this was his last wish, and then hit you with a fucking face full of ash. I don't know about one last fuck you.
That's very sweet. That'd be the last thing you'd want to do with whatever's left of your body on this earth. So I take that as a gesture of love.
No, it's a gesture of hate.
Okay, all right.
And then if I can become a ghost, if I'm eligible, if I meet the requirements, I'm fucking haunting you.
You're gonna haunt me?
I'm gonna like short circuit all your electrical stuff. I'm gonna fucking write messages in the steamy shower window like, I hate you. Like,
of course you'd be in the fucking bathroom when taking a steamy shower.
I mean, I have to. Right? Like, it's kind of like Ghost 101. Like, I have to.
Freaking perv. But, oh yeah, sorry. As I was going to say, like, when you're like, oh, do you believe in demonic possession? I was like, well, in a way, it's kind of a conundrum because no, I don't. But, we've talked about my beliefs and stuff, and you talk about your beliefs, but, like, I really do think it's all like a simulation. But in a way, admitting that the simulation is still admitting that there's something else beyond who created the simulation. Because if you're in a simulation, that means something created it, but then that means something created that too. So it still doesn't solve anything. You know what I'm saying?
I sometimes think we're in hell right now. That we died.
That could be too.
No, this isn't like our true lives. Like, our lives were like what do you call it? Like, our lives were lived, but maybe we didn't look like we are now or something. We don't remember what it was. We don't remember our past lives, but this is our eternal damnation, is to live in this like shitty world where shitty stuff happens and nothing good ever happens, and then like it's just like your atonement, your repentance. That, or it's just really, this is just life. These are the cards we were dealt, and we'll all be in the dirt one day, and that's it. Consciousness gone forever.
It's possible.
Just nothingness.
Or like I said, they can pump me full of formaldehyde and they can rent my body out and just like freak people out. They can do that too.
And then I'll rent you and use you for sex stuff. Even though it says like, and then like I have to sign a waiver. It's like, will this be used for sex stuff? No. And then it comes back. It's like, why is this like jaw broken off? I don't know. Yeah, I just dropped him.
Just dropped him. Oh shit. All right. Well, do I have permission to segue into our topic?
If you can spell segue.
SEGWAY.
That's the wrong segue. I think for like a.
Oh, it's SEG. Is it UE?
SEGUE.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I was talking about the mall cop segue.
Yeah.
Whoopsie. Yeah. Okay. You did not specify. Well, anyways, what do what do you have to? What would you say to me if I was like, hey, okay, so I'm bringing like charges against you, okay?
As you always do.
Right, and I'm about ready to tell you that I have some evidence against you, and
Uh-huh.
it's coming on behalf of someone who is no longer among the living. How are you going to react to that news? Oh, also, I'm like, yeah, how are you going to react to that news?
I'm gonna say this is crazy. This is white privilege at its finest. This guy's clearly just after me because I'm fucking not white, and he's just trying to take my land like a colonizer. He just wants my stuff. And you guys are gonna listen to this whack job?
And then the judge looks you straight in the eyes and says, "Overruled."
Guilty. Overruled. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
All right. Yeah, it's so on the surface it sounds like a pretty crazy situation that definitely I don't think would fly today. I don't believe. I don't know if there's
Depends on what state you are.
It's true. It depends on which state you're on in. There's some crazy shit going on. But all right.
You are.
So keep that in mind. Obviously we gotta kind of set the mood and explain a few things, and then we'll get to that situation. But yeah, okay. So I think you would react as most of us would react, and that would be that this is insane. So here, let me lay some groundwork and give you some more info to add to that big old brain of yours full of knowledge. The death of Zona. Zona Hester Shue was born in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, in 1873. Unfortunately, due to a lack of records, not much else is known about her childhood. What is known, however, is that she met a man named Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue in 1896. There's a lot of people with like multiple middle names in this story. I just thought you should know that.
I sometimes wish I had like multiple middle names. I was watching Harry Potter, and it's like his name's Albert Percival Dontarian something Brian Dumbledore.
Do you only have one middle name?
Wolfgang. I only got one.
One.
What are you trying to say?
Just saying. A lot of people I know.
Are you trying to say that all Mexicans have more than one middle name?
You're actually the only one I've met that does not have two middle names.
What other Mexicans do you know?
Well, not Mexicans, but just Latin Americans.
So you think we're all the same?
No, I didn't say that.
Sounds like you do.
Technically,
Babe, Steph didn't have a middle name at all.
I thought she had two middle names.
No, she didn't have a middle name at all.
Oh, never mind. She's okay. You got her beat. Steph has no middle name.
Well, she doesn't have
Who the hell's Steph?
Sam's best friend.
Mexican?
Where's her family from? Peru.
So you think Mexicans and Peruvians are the same?
No, I don't know. I didn't know where she was from, brother. She's actually from Peru, New York.
No, she didn't have a middle name. She took her maiden last name and made it her middle name.
That would make sense that you'd think she's Peruvian if she's from Peru, New York. That just fits so on brand for you.
She's not from Peru, New York. All right. Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue was a drifter who had recently arrived in the area. When Zona met him, he was employed as a blacksmith in the shop of James Crookshanks. That made me think of Harry Potter too.
Names. I love these fucking names. These names sound very Harry Potter.
Don't they?
I think there's a Crookshanks in Harry Potter.
There is. Crookshanks is the cat. It's Hermione's cat.
Yeah, it is. It is.
God, yeah, it's crazy. We're both in the same wavelength right now with this. So the shop of James Crookshanks was located just off the old Midland Trail. Over time, Erasmus's work would become well known for its quality, which ultimately helped cement his place within the community. At some point during this time, Zona caught the eye of Erasmus, and eventually the two became acquainted. Shortly after their meet cute, it wouldn't be too long before the couple would fall in love and eventually get married.
I think they flirt in the 1800s.
It just shows like her ankle. And I don't know, he probably chops he's a blacksmith, so he just, I don't know, forges a gun or something like that with his shirt off.
Okay, 1897. I don't think blacksmiths were forging guns just like that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, muskets existed. Okay, fine. He wasn't a gunsmith, to be fair. Maybe he was building an axe. I don't know. A wheel for a wagon. I don't know. Metal. Bolts. He could have been making nails. I don't know. I'm trying to make him sound sexy, brother. Like, like...
First instinct is guns.
Anyway, she showed her ankle. He's smelting some metal and ore without a shirt. It's really dangerous. And if OSHA was around, they probably tell him to put a shirt on. But anyways,
no lunch break.
that's probably what happened. So as a result, she saw him without a shirt, and obviously that got her hot and bothered. Shortly after their meetup, it wouldn't be too long before the couple would fall in love and eventually get married. So probably like a week. Unfortunately, however, not everybody would approve of their marriage. Zona's mother,
the church?
Not the church. It would actually be Zona's mother, whose name was Mary Jane Robinson Hester, vehemently disapproved of the couple's union. So many long names in this. According to Mary Jane, which is crazy to say that that's shortening her name. According to Mary Jane, something was wrong with Erasmus, but she just couldn't put her finger on it. Despite her maternal...
He was going out at night dressed as a spider, dude. Sorry, Mary Jane Watson.
Yes, I know. Maybe. Her husband's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. In the 1800s.
What would that even look like?
I don't know.
It's probably a man who just had like too many limbs, and they called him Spider-Man. It's probably how
Spider-Man.
That's probably how it would go back then, because people were cool.
It would. And then like instead of web slinging, I don't know, he'd be like they have like a top hat and a cane. I don't know.
Despite her maternal objections, however, the two did successfully engage in holy matrimony and moved in with one another immediately. For the first few months of their new life together, the couple would enjoy a peaceful existence at their home. Unfortunately, this peace would be shattered on January 23rd, 1897, after an extremely horrific event unfolded. That event was the sudden and freak death of Zona. A young boy who had been sent to the house by Erasmus to ask Zona if she needed anything from the local shops was left in shock after finding Zona's lifeless body at the bottom of the family's stairs. Of course, yeah, it's a poor kid. I mean, although I have to admit, like, that kid back then, I feel like it doesn't like remove the shock from it, but back then I do feel like everybody witnessed death. There was just probably so much death everywhere. I know it wasn't the Black Plague, but people got tuberculosis and shit. Life
expectancy was shorter then.
What was that?
Life expectancy was shorter then. Oh
yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if this kid's ever seen a dead body before, but that's got to be scary. You walk into someone's house that you probably don't know super well, but just enough to where they feel comfortable to have you go ask, and all of a sudden, like, she's just dead. Like, you find her dead, and you're a kid. I mean, he's still a kid. According to the boy, Zona was stretched out, her feet were together, one of her hands was on her abdomen, while the other lay at her side. Her head was turned slightly to the side, and her eyes were left wide open. The boy
seems like almost textbook, like.
Yeah, like it's almost like, and this is like important because like it's the boy's not suggesting this, but he's just saying what he saw, but it's it's a little, like you said, classic, like almost like it was placed
like if I was
there.
gonna picture a dead body and like you told me like how would they like position like or something, like if I was directing a movie or something, that's how I would do it.
Right. But maybe they do that because that's what it looks like. Who knows? I don't stumble upon dead bodies, so I don't know. So thankfully, the boy immediately ran home and told his mother, who then quickly informed the local doctor/coroner, Dr. George W. Knapp, about what her son had found. By the time the doctor arrived, Erasmus had carried his wife's body upstairs and laid her on the bed. Oddly, and contrary to local customs, Erasmus had already dressed the corpse himself, which was something that was typically reserved for the women within the community.
This was before the time of forensic evidence, so I don't think it mattered, right?
Right, you're right. But it is a little funky how...
It is weird.
Your wife's dead, and the first thing you're doing... Not necessarily bring her upstairs, because you're right. Forensics doesn't really matter at this point. But you're already dressing her? Like, that's kind of weird. The doctor hasn't even come by yet. Like, I don't know. It is weird.
It is weird. It's very weird.
Despite being a little off-put by the entire spectacle, Dr. Knapp insisted that he needed to check the body to fully and accurately determine Zona's cause of death. During the exam, Erasmus became exceedingly emotional and insisted on cradling her body, all while intensely sobbing. Because of his behavior, the doctor was only able to do a cursory exam, before Erasmus began to shoo him away and became extremely agitated. By the end of the exam, Dr. Knapp was able to note some slight bruising on the body's neck. In spite of the odd findings, Dr. Knapp initially deemed Zona's cause of death to be everlasting faint. This is a term used by 19th century forensics, which is... Sorry, there's a kid screaming outside. It scared me. A term used by 19th century forensics to describe a woman's sudden and unexplained death. This is not an endearing term, by the way. This is actually pretty degrading, honestly. Basically, it's like women were just so, I don't know, fragile. They could just die. You know, like that's kind of what it was getting at, which is a little ridiculous.
Okay, like I guess women were just dying that unexpectedly a lot back in the day, or what?
I guess just because, you know, obviously
Only women. Like it's not a unisex term.
Nope, it is just for women. Dead serious. Which is kind of crazy. Yeah, and it's not. It's like I said, it's not an endearing term. It's definitely a demeaning one. Shortly after this diagnosis, however, he would change the cause of death to complications with childbirth. What made this conclusion odd was the fact that it was never confirmed that Zona was even pregnant to begin with. All the doctor said regarding this finding was that he claimed that he treated Zona for quote-unquote female trouble 2 weeks ago. After confirming Zona's death, the doctor sent 2 of Zona's friends to ride out to Meadow Bluff to notify Zona's parents of their daughter's death. The trek was roughly 15 miles, but the surrounding area was largely agricultural, making it relatively easy to traverse. Eventually, the 2 men arrived at the Hester homestead. The men hopped off their horses, walked up to the front door, and knocked. Mary Jane was the one to answer, and upon seeing the 2 men, her face contorted as she instantly knew that the news they had to give was grave. Hesitantly, one of the men spoke up and notified the soon-to-be grieving mother. Allegedly, instantly after she received the news, Mary Jane exclaimed, "The devil has killed her," referring specifically to Erasmus. What do you think?
That's just. We were a very spiritual nation once upon a time. Wait, is this America or is this England? I guess the world itself.
It's West Virginia, brother. It's still like that.
Greenbrier just sounds like something in the UK.
Well, a lot of stuff is named after places in the UK. I mean, think about Essex Junction, Essex. There's a place called Essex in the UK.
In Sussex.
I think there's a. I don't know. There's a Burlington, to be honest with you. I'm not positive. But I mean, there's a lot of New England influence or English influence on New England.
New England, of course, because literally New England,
right? Of course.
England.
And then if you head out like towards like Western New York, there's a lot of like Dutch like names and stuff like that because New York was technically founded by the Dutch.
Yeah.
The Adirondacks actually has a lot of Native American names for towns and stuff like that in areas.
I wonder why for that though.
I know, crazy.
Yeah.
And then obviously up here we're influenced a lot by the French.
But let's get to the funeral. On January 24th, Zona's body was taken by carriage to her parents' home. During the trip, Erasmus showed what was described as extreme devotion to the body. By keeping a vigil at the head of the open casket for the entire 15 miles, he didn't move from his station and wouldn't let anyone else get closer. As for the services themselves, the wake would take up the entirety of a Sunday, while the burial itself would occur on Monday. After the entire ordeal, however, many people would note that Erasmus's behavior was not akin to a normal grieving widower. For instance, during the wake, Erasmus's grief would swing back and forth very manically. He wouldn't allow anyone to get close to the coffin, especially when he was placing a pillow on the side of her head and rolled up a cloth on the other. Supposedly, this was to ensure that Zona rested easier.
Before you continue, I want to talk about a story that kind of goes with that a little bit. I might have told you a story, but I definitely haven't said it on this podcast. When I worked at a nursing home, I worked in the kitchen, and one of the cooks, she was a little out there, we'll say that, with a lot of things. And we were just sitting having lunch. It was me, her, my coworker, and our boss. And she's like, Paul, who Paul's our boss, she's like, Paul, do you think when I die and they put me in a coffin, they could lay me on my side?
Oh, I think your mom told me this one.
And he's like, maybe they can accommodate a lot of things. And he's like, why? And she's like, oh, well, I have back problems.
Yeah.
And he's like, Darlene, when you're
You'll be
being
dead.
put in a coffin, you're dead. You don't feel anything. You're dead. And she's like, yeah, I know, I just have back problems. And I was just kind of like, okay, all right, interesting. She's also the same person who thought that there was what the fuck is it? Anthrax on our apples, and it was just flour. So,
anthrax?
anthrax.
I was like, what's anthrax?
Anthrax. And it was like, okay. Yeah, she's a little loopy. But anyways, you just talked about her resting easier by putting stuff on the side of her head, and it just reminded me of that.
That's a good one. Oh, wait, it's still me because I forgot you cut in. I got you.
Sorry.
When it came to moving the body to its final resting place in the family plot, many people would claim that there seemed to be a looseness to Zona's head. This was odd considering that it was believed that she had died from issues with childbirth. Ultimately, this led to rumors and speculation beginning to swirl throughout the community. For Mary Jane, no speculation was needed. After the funeral, Mary Jane attempted to return a sheet that was in the coffin to Erasmus. Erasmus rejected the offer and told her that he didn't want it. When Mary Jane folded it to put it away, she noticed that the fabric had a strange odor and an odd stain. She decided that she would simply wash it after the funeral the following day and keep it as a keepsake of Zona. After the guests had shed polite tears and said their final goodbyes, the funeral ended and Mary Jane decided to do some housework to keep her mind off the family's loss. Soon after beginning the housework, she remembered the sheet and promptly began to wash it. To her shock, when she dropped the sheet in the wash basin, the water instantly began to turn a bright reddish color. Strangely, a few moments later, the color in the water disappeared. After this unnerving circumstance unfolded, she decided to boil the sheet and left it out to dry. No matter what cleaning tricks Mary Jane employed, the stain remained stubbornly on the sheet. Being a slightly superstitious woman, Mary Jane took this as an ominous sign that Zona had indeed been murdered by Erasmus. Still, though, she had no way to prove it, nor did she know how he did it. I don't know. I'm not familiar with superstitions or omens or what, but a stained sheet of fabric.
I mean, they're all kinds of
I don't
stains probably
understand.
back then.
I don't understand it. I don't understand how that's a sign or that's a giveaway or what. Or
I'm gonna go with, I think
it
that
sounds a little
far-fetched.
unhinged.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the way I would take it, or the way I took it, I guess, was the stain that she saw. I guess it wasn't indicative of blood. I guess
It was like when people see the Virgin Mary and Jesus in their soup.
it honestly could be just like that. And putting this sheet that was with Zona in, and all of a sudden everything's turning a bright red. And I mean, this is going by what she just said. I don't know if that happened, but if I put like some, horror movies. I mean, there's been a lot of horror movies where, for whatever reason, there's water, and they put something, and all of a sudden the water starts to turn red. That is ominous. I mean, if it looks like it's blood red, that's pretty ominous. So, it being with the sheet being with her daughter's body for quite a while, and then she took the sheet and then went to wash it, and all of a sudden the water supposedly turned bright red. Maybe she's I could see how that's ominous. And again, she's already in the mindset of like, my daughter was murdered. She believes that. She doesn't like this man. She's never liked this man. The fact that she offered the sheet to him back was actually probably like begrudgingly. Is probably more of like, well, he's her husband, so he should have this. But the fact that he didn't want it, and she's like, well, screw you, I'm going to keep it.
That's probably what set her off, honestly.
She's probably pissed off, and I don't blame her, especially if you don't like this man and you think he killed her. I mean, like
that feels like a very mother-in-law thing to do, right? Always suspect that, like, oh, there's no way she died of natural causes. Yeah. This guy clearly murdered her.
One thing that I do find very interesting is she was found at the bottom of the stairs. That was a very clear, like, very specific place that she was found. But the doctor was never like, oh, well, she fell down the stairs. I mean, maybe he's like, well, maybe
the husband pushed her down the stairs.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You would think the death would be due to the stairs, but it's like, no, it's childbirth. It's this, it's that. It's like, she's at the bottom of the stairs. I mean, to be fair, of course she could die.
None the doctor doesn't make sense either. Like, right. Was she murdered? Probably.
Right. But
the way we're getting there is a little far-fetched, but I mean, hey, whatever to bring the case forward. I don't know.
This is also the 1890s. Like,
no,
I feel like, the movies we watch of that time period, like especially like the lawman ones, I really don't think many people were actually caught. And I think a lot of people who were caught probably weren't even the actual offender. They just needed to bring justice, and I
think there was a lot of case of mistaken identity, and
definitely,
we call it wrongful convictions in those times. I mean, it wasn't until the breakthrough of forensic evidence, I remember, like,
which wasn't that long
there's
ago.
A lot of corruption in the world, because like there's like this cop that, like, pretty famously a few years ago, I think he's from Chicago, like he had like 60 to like 80 of his cases overturned because he was like extremely corrupt and like falsified evidence and stuff, sent a lot of people to like death row and like to their death, like, and he was like never really caught for the longest time. Like he was just doing that. And so, I mean, people are obviously corrupt everywhere you go. Like not everyone is, obviously,
right,
but there are cases of that. Like, and it's just like, that stuff was probably widespread back then just to get results.
It was so easy to take advantage of it too. It's a broken system with, let's face it, there's not much you could do. I mean, hell, it's still a broken system, but like back then there was, there's just no way to prove it. Like you had no way to prove it. So yeah, forensics honestly is a blessing. And yes, it is not 100% correct all the time. There's still mistakes being made, but it is a lot better than it used to be before there was forensics. True. So, we said something, right? But yeah, no. So we're talking about 1890s forensics, if you want to call it that, 19th century forensics, which, I mean,
non-existent.
It's non-existent. I mean, I don't know why you even really call it 19th century forensics, because it's kind of non-existent. I don't even know if the term was coined back then. Like, I think it was coined in the like latter half of the 20th century. So
yeah, I think so.
So I don't know, but yeah, so that's what we're going with right now. That's where it stands. She just saw blood in the water. She thinks Erasmus is an asshole and he murdered her daughter, but she has no way to prove it because forensics is not a thing. So let's get into the apparition. So after that strange event occurred that you just mentioned, Mary Jane could not shake the belief that Erasmus had murdered her daughter and was working to cover up the heinous act. Without anyone or anywhere else to turn, Mary Jane began to pray every night before she went to bed. Honestly, what else is there to do about it? Specifically, she prayed that her daughter would return to her to reveal the truth about how she had died. A few weeks later, her prayers would actually be answered. Late one night, Mary Jane had climbed into bed after performing her nightly ritual of praying. After listening to the creaks of the house and the sounds of the wind carving through the fields outside of her window for a while, she began to nod off. Just as she was about to fall asleep, Mary Jane noticed that a strange illumination was seemingly coming from the opposite side of the bed as her, or the opposite side of the bed as her. Additionally, the room seemed to have become significantly colder than it was when she had begun to doze off. Then, she felt a slight gust of wind begin to blow throughout the room. When Mary Jane turned, she gasped at what she saw. There, standing, or rather floating, on the other side of the bed was an apparition that looked exactly like Zona. For the next 4 nights, this exact scenario would play out time and time again. Zona would come to the side of her mother's bed as a bright light at first, before transforming into a full-bodied apparition. She would wake her mother and explain over and over again how Erasmus had been extremely cruel to her throughout their short marriage. According to Zona's ghost, Erasmus was violent and abusive almost every day. Eventually, this all came to a flashpoint when Zona had supposedly forgotten to cook any meat for their dinner. Allegedly, Erasmus then became so enraged that he began to beat her savagely. By the end of the brutal attack, Zona's neck had been snapped and she lay on the ground dead. The ghost was very sure to emphasize this point and demonstrated to her mother that she could turn her entire head around in a 360-degree circle. So yeah, just maybe I can like Photoshop my head just all the way around. I don't know.
Like The Exorcist.
Like The Exorcist. But yeah, so one thing which is kind of, I don't know why this kind of like jumped out to me, but I mentioned that the ghost appeared on the opposite of the bed. So she turned over and there was Zona. And I was like, well, where's the husband? Because she does have a husband. And he isn't mentioned in this. So at first I found that kind of weird, but there is one thing, there is one possibility.
Is he dead?
I don't think he's dead, but there is one possibility. So back in the day, and I think this tradition kind of carried on until the 50s, a lot of people would not actually sleep in the same bed as their spouse. They had their own room, which is not their own room, their own bed. So it'd be two beds in the same room. Found that very weird. But if you watch A Christmas Story, for example, and the part where he goes to like plant the Red Ryder BB gun ad in his mother's like what's it called?
Wardrobe or something?
No, it's a magazine. It was a very popular magazine. It's still around, but it was like very good for like its target audience was like women trying to keep up on the latest trends and stuff like that. I can't remember.
Like women's health or something? I don't know.
I can't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. Anyways, he tries to plant this thing in a magazine, and if you look, there's two beds, and it's on her bed. So it's they do have separate beds. So I do think that that's where I guess
Look magazine.
Look magazine. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe they were in separate beds. So that is a possibility.
It's just so funny that this is where it's heading when it's like, how do you cross-examine something? And like, I know we're going to get there because it's always, but like, it's just so crazy. Like this is one person's word.
It's insane. It's like don't get me wrong. There is no doubt in my mind that this man killed his wife. Like the way he acted, the way he like did things, the circumstances. I do believe this, but still, like, it's just an insane thought to use what a ghost told you supposedly as evidence. Like it is an insane thought. So Zona's talking to her and letting her know all this crazy shit is how I died. This is what he was like to me. This went on for 4 nights. And at the end of the 4th night, Zona and Mary Jane would say their final goodbyes, thus leaving Mary Jane with a heck of a lot of thinking to do. On one hand, she felt extremely validated, as her daughter's ghost had just confirmed what she had thought all along. Erasmus had killed her daughter. However, on the other hand, there was an extremely large elephant that had just been dropped into the room. How on earth was Mary Jane going to convince other people that this all had actually happened? After all, even though this was over 100 years ago, people still typically didn't believe in ghosts enough to use their statements as evidence in a criminal trial. Despite the risk of being labeled insane, Fran just dropped a picture of an elephant that says address me. Oh shit, I love it. That's great. I need to do that when people are ignoring me. That's awesome. I'll try to put the picture up here so you can see it. Despite the risk of being labeled insane, or worse, sent to an insane asylum, Mary Jane built up the courage to go to the local prosecutor and tell him about her experiences and thoughts on the death of her daughter. The prosecutor's name was John Alfred Preston. So far, the only person in this story I think who has a first, a middle, and a last.
It's a normal name.
just a very short, normal name, I guess. The prosecutor's name was John Alfred Preston, and thankfully for Mary Jane, he too had felt that there was something a little bit off about Zona's death. More surprisingly, when Zona told him about the visitations, he actually was quite intrigued and listened intently. The two would talk for the next few hours, and by the end of the meeting, Mr. Preston was also fully convinced that Zona had indeed been murdered and insisted that the case would be reopened. By the end of the week, Mr. Preston had dispatched 2 deputies to go and interview Erasmus, as well as others who had been involved in the case. So, yes, it's crazy, but this ghost of Zona supposedly visited her mother, and her mother was kind of obviously believed it. You know, she's convinced, and she's like, I don't know how, I have to go talk to someone, but I don't know how I'm going to convince them. And who knows what's going through her mind. I mean, she's probably like come all these ways, like, okay, I could do this, I'll say this, but the guy she talks to, who happens to be the prosecutor of the area, actually listens to her. Now, I do wonder, honestly, because he, like I said, he kind of felt a little off about the whole situation, but couldn't put his finger on it. Maybe, like, he really is taking what she's saying, like, hey, listen, I agree with you. Like, there's something wrong. I think this bastard might have done it. And maybe he didn't want to, like, shut down the ghost thing just because he didn't want to shut her down. He wanted her to talk to him, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I actually think it was very wise of him to not, start going after her about calling her crazy and shit if he actually did think something was wrong. So I think actually, especially for the time period, he handled it very well, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know much about this Mr. Preston, but maybe he's a very smart guy. Maybe he's playing, 4D chess.
Or maybe he's just he sees a vulnerable someone that's gonna give him money, and like basically he's like, oh,
it could be too.
I can handle your case. It's going to cost you. I am the only supernatural lawyer, and I charge a flat rate of like 100 shillings an hour.
I do wonder, actually.
That I only have like 50 shillings. It's like, oh, well, I will give you a special discount for 50 shillings.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it was like back then, but typically today, like your prosecutor isn't. They're paid by the state or the federal government or whatever, or the town, which is probably more the situation. It's the defense attorneys that make the real money. They're the ones that are getting paid like the freaking buco bucks to go protect some asshole or not asshole. You never know. But, when I think of like defense attorneys, I think of like the high profile cases where like a CEO is being like,
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, like shit like that. And it's like, come on, like, but they're good. That's the problem. They're so fucking good at their jobs, and
it's awful. Yeah,
they get these people out. Like, it's like, son of a bitch. Like, everybody can see that you did it, but it doesn't matter. It's like that, when the
glove doesn't fit.
The glove doesn't. Yeah, if the glove fits or the glove doesn't fit, or it's like the Mickey Mouse and Goofy trial. You don't know about that?
I think I do, but
it's a joke.
Yeah,
but he's like,
he kills all those kids.
I did it. He's like, yes, Goofy, I know you did it, but we can't tell them that. He's like, I'll do it again. He's like, stop. Mickey's paying lots of money for me to protect you. Like, stop. Murder.
Yeah. I think I sent that to you because one of my friends sent it to me a long time ago.
I fucking love it. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, it's so funny. That's what happens after a Goofy movie too.
Oh shit!
That's why they never made a third one, and it was never a trilogy.
There was no extremely absurd Goofy movie. It was just a court trial.
It was just a court trial and a lot of dead kids.
Oh shit!
Anyways, back to Zona's case.
Yeah, back to Zona. Oh.
Days later, the prosecutor went directly to the residence of Dr. Knapp, the man who had determined Zona's cause of death originally. They began to question him, and during the interview, Dr. Knapp would admit that the exam he had performed had been incomplete and cursory at best. As a result, he had not been fully convinced of his final verdict on how Zona had passed. By the end of the interview, the two determined that an exhumation of Zona's corpse, as well as an autopsy, should be conducted. A few days later, an exhumation was ordered and an inquest jury was assembled. The autopsy was to be performed on February 22nd, 1897, in the Nichols Schoolhouse, which was located only a short distance from the Seoul Methodist Church graveyard where Zona had been buried. And before you ask, yes, the school children had been dismissed by the time this occurred.
It was actually
I don't
biology
think,
class.
I don't think anyone was gonna. I don't think anyone was gonna ask that. But
This is actually biology
maybe
class.
people are gonna ask. You, yeah,
we got a
Instead
special
of a
person to
frog
show and
or
tell
something,
today.
yeah, or like a fetal pig or a frog, they're gonna make you dissect a human. The jury that had been formed would be required to be present for the autopsy, as well as the young boy Andy Jones, who had found Zona's dead body at the bottom of the stairs. Additionally, Erasmus's presence was also requested by authorities. Notably, Erasmus objected vehemently to the exhumation, as well as his requested attendance. And despite his complaints and many objections, he was told that he would be there or else he would be forcibly brought there.
I will admit that whole as much as I do think this guy, I do think that's
It's
a little
fishy.
screwed up. Well, yeah, it's fishy, but like we don't do that. First of all, we don't have a jury go to watch the autopsy, and we don't have the deceased spouse go and watch their wife get cut. Now, to be fair, I don't know if he actually had to watch, but I will admit that's a little messed up. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think he should have had to.
I'm down for it. Force
Okay.
him to be there. Look at his face. Examine his face and see if he actually cares or if he's just acting.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Cool, fucked up.
Hey, man, that's just how law was back then, dude.
This is Fernando's Law. That's how it goes.
The autopsy itself lasted about 3 hours and was performed at night under the light of kerosene lanterns. Thankfully, because she had passed earlier in the winter and the fact that it was now February, Zona's body had been almost perfectly preserved. As a result of this, all her skin and organs were completely intact. The autopsy itself was carried out via traditional methods, meaning that the vital organs were taken out and surveyed, and after this, they began to place an incision at the back of the skull. It was at this moment that the doctor stopped in his tracks and stated that it would not be necessary. The reason for the pause was that he noticed that Zona's neck had been clearly snapped. The doctor then turned to Erasmus and stated, "We found your wife's neck to have been broken." Erasmus's reply was suspicious to say the least. "They cannot prove that I did it." I mean, dude, what are you doing?
Hey, come on, dude.
You're just like, come on, man.
How
You're just
fucking
like,
dumb are you? Like,
we're in OJ's "if I did it" territory.
yeah, no, like that is beyond suspicious. Also, like, I understand we're just getting like the information from this happened a long time ago, and it's hard to have every detail actually be given to us because you only get so much information. How the fuck did they get to this point without realizing, oh, that woman's neck is snapped like a fucking, like, I don't know, damn, I can't think of anything funny. Snapped like a fucking Slim Jim, like she's just, the neck is just like, she's probably loosey-goosey, fucking head's going around everywhere, just like a fucking Funko Pop, like.
Bobblehead? No, no.
Like, bobblehead, yeah, like,
Yeah.
How did they not notice that from the get-go? I mean, I don't know. That part kind of gets me a little bit.
Just part that gets me is just the guy being like, "You can't prove it.
You can't prove I fucking did it, sir. No one said you did. You can't prove
that, bro."
Yeah, this guy's guilty as fuck. Like, yeah, he is.
Not because a ghost told him. Like, I don't believe the ghost.
Yeah, no, this guy's a fucking idiot. He really is.
At this point, almost everybody involved believed that Erasmus had likely done something horrible to his wife. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that connection. Ultimately, the findings of the autopsy were detailed in a report written and published on March 9th, and the report claimed the following, and I quote, "The discovery was made that the neck had been broken and the windpipe smashed. On the throat were the marks of fingers indicating she had been choked. The neck was dislocated between the first and second vertebrae. The ligaments were torn and ruptured. The windpipe had been crushed at the point in front of the neck." End quote. As you can imagine, these findings greatly upset the community and ultimately prompted more people to speak out regarding suspicions they had about Erasmus.
That is one of the dangers about giving out this information, because it naturally pisses people off. You know, it's like when a child's murdered, you can't. They've actually made it very difficult to show like pictures of the crime scene, because people just get so fucking enraged when they see that shit that they just want to see someone go to prison. They get like, he's guilty. So, you know, for back then, I mean, I feel people are a little more desensitized to this kind of information nowadays. But back then, that was enough to really rile people up, and they're like, "No, this guy's guilty. Get rid of him." Like I feel that might have had that effect almost by giving out that. 'Cause that's pretty gruesome, actually. If you really think about that, like he beat the shit out of this woman. Like it's that takes some effort to do all that stuff that just happened. So yeah, the person who did it, because we have to, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty. The person who did this is an asshole and a monster. So the people are clearly pissed off about it. Also, the man said, "You can't prove I did it."
You can't prove I did it.
So, you know. All right. Well, it probably isn't that surprising, but let's get to the trial. It's about to unfold. The autopsy revealed more than enough evidence for prosecutors to charge Erasmus with the murder of his wife, Zona. Shortly after the examination, deputies rode to the house where it all happened and promptly proceeded to arrest Erasmus and cart him off to a small jail on Washington Street in Lewisburg. Despite the mounting evidence against him, Erasmus put in a plea of not guilty at his arraignment. While he awaited trial, more and more damning information began to come out and circulate around the community and among law enforcement. Apparently, Zona had been his third wife, and his previous marriages had not ended under the happiest circumstances. His first marriage was to a woman named Allie Cutlip, in which they had a child together. Ultimately, it all ended in 1889 when Erasmus was arrested for horse theft. In the divorce decree, Allie claimed that Erasmus was violent and had frequently beat her. Sounds familiar. In 1894, Erasmus remarried, this time to a woman named Lucy Tritt. Eerily, Tritt and Erasmus's marriage only lasted 8 months before she died during a hike in the woods. According to Erasmus...
Oh, wait, time out.
Yep.
He's been married twice before. We didn't know this until now.
Yep, it's coming out. So you're gonna learn now why we haven't learned about this. But yeah, so this guy's in jail now.
Divorce was a thing back in the day like that.
That's the crazy thing. Like divorce was a thing, but it definitely didn't seem like it was that common of a thing. You know, it seemed like a hard thing to do.
3 times, it seems like, damn.
And again, I don't know this, but the first divorce... the divorce, the end of the first marriage, was the woman divorcing the man. And I feel back then that wasn't allowed. Yeah. It was hard to do that. But to be fair, though, the guy was literally in jail when she was divorcing him. So maybe that was good enough. You know what I mean? Because he's clearly a criminal. So maybe that was kind of like her out. She's like, okay, maybe that was a loophole you could use back then. I don't know. But... that is a good excuse. The guy stole a horse, which actually I'm surprised he get put to death. If that was like out in the Old West, he probably would have put to death. So he kind of got horse theft.
That's the modern day Grand Theft Auto, dude. I was car stealing.
Pretty much horse stealing, steed stealing. So yeah, the first one had divorce, but the second one, that Lucy Tritt, She died during a hike in the woods, and according to Erasmus, Lucy had fallen and hit her head on a rock. Apparently, few within the community believed him, and feeling that the noose was tightening, Erasmus decided to leave the area before legal action could be taken. This eventually led him to Greenbrier County, where he would eventually meet up with Zona.
Yeah, this guy's a serial abuser and murderer.
Oh, definitely. He clearly shows no remorse and has no problem doing it again. Shortly before the current trial, the only trial, shortly before the trial were to begin, various reporters actually came to visit him in his cell and ask him various questions. I guess this would have been a big story back then. During one of these sessions, it was reported that Erasmus made the bizarre claim that his grieving had ended and he had the goal of having 7 wives after he was found not guilty. Weird. Very weird thing to say. So he's like, I got 3 wives down. I got some more to go. Pretty much. He's it's just
I can't even imagine trying to get married 7 times. I'm trying to just that's crazy to me. Dude.
It's back then it wasn't as expensive, but
probably
it's just insane. Like, why would you say that? Like, this guy has no self-preservation. Either it's no self-preservation or he's just the cockiest asshole in the world. So it's probably both, a little both. So, yeah. Anyways, after all his stupid statements and stuff, the trial of the century was about to finally begin, This trial would begin on June 22nd, 1897, and the turnout would be large. Not only was the turnout to watch the trial unfold large, but the amount of people who came to testify against Erasmus as well. Among all those who testified, though, it was pretty obvious that Mary Jane Hester's testimony was to be the highlight of the entire trial. John Preston, the prosecutor, put Mary Jane on the stand as both the mother of the deceased, as well as the first person to note the unusual circumstances surrounding the death of Zona. At first, Mr. Preston instructed Mary to hold off on the mentioning of Zona's ghost, instead opting for a more grounded testimony. Erasmus's attorney, however, was not about to let that information stay unknown to the jury. Immediately, the defense attorney brought up how all the information that Mary Jane was supposedly aware of had come from none other than Zona's ghost. He did whatever he could to paint Mary Jane as a grieving but very deranged mother. Knowing full well that it was a trap, Mary Jane still had no choice but to answer the questions honestly. She was under oath, after all, back when it actually meant something,
Never meant anything, Austin.
It's true, but I feel some people actually thought it meant something back then. Now it's just a bunch of bullshit. Anyways, miraculously, the jury did not react negatively to how Mary Jane had acquired her information. In fact, the jury then doubled down and seemingly began to go against Erasmus. This ultimately prompted the defense to halt questioning on the matter. The prosecution, on the other hand, saw their advantage and decided that they themselves would continue the discussion of Zona's ghost. The defense begged the judge to dismiss the talk of Zona's apparition from the jury's deliberation. However, it was no use. The jury was fully on board with the belief that Mary Jane had truly seen her daughter's ghost, and it was now going to be used against him. For the first time in known history, a ghost testimony against their own murderer was about to be used to sway a jury's decision. In the end, the judge couldn't get the jury to see past it. So the problem is, there are some things like during court cases where, for example, and you see this in fucking shows all the time. If you're Law and Order, SVU, shit like that.
I never watched those shows, but
I do. Don't get me wrong. They're dramatized, obviously, but there is stuff in there that actually is real. But yes, of course, it's dramatized. But one thing prosecution and defense attorneys love to do, they'll say something. So I don't know. I'm trying to pretend say, I stole a car, and I'm being charged with stealing a car. And
a horse.
A horse. Okay, I stole a horse.
How about we use a horse?
Okay, I stole a horse. Okay. And you're trying to you're the prosecutor. You're trying to make me look like an asshole and get the jury to.
I would just say this ghost told me he did it, so
yeah,
100% he's guilty.
Well, the thing is, prosecution and defense attorneys sometimes they'll say shit that they know they can't say. Like, it's going to get struck from the record. It was not agreed upon to be counted as evidence. And the judge will be like, strike that from the record. The problem,
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that in shows.
the problem is, yes, it's struck from the record, but you just told the jury that, and they can't.
And he's like, how are they supposed to unhear that, right? How are you
Right.
supposed to not be able to use that, like, just because the judge says strike that from the record?
Exactly. And prosecution and defense does it all the fucking time. And that's the thing. Like, don't be wrong, the jury is supposed to go off of the evidence in front of them that is allowed to be counted as evidence. But people are people, humans are humans. It's just the way it goes. And so basically what they did was, to be fair, the fucking defense is the one that kind of opened the door on this one. But yeah, they said all this shit, and the judge is like, no, strike that from the record. It doesn't matter. The jury heard it, and then crazily enough, the jury's on board with it. So it's interesting. And to be fair, I do have to say, the jury can't be like, well, this is the reason why we think they're guilty. You can't do that, but it still doesn't eliminate them thinking the person's guilty. It still can sway their opinion. To just be like, crystal clear, the judge didn't want it to be entered as evidence, and he didn't enter it as evidence. But again, the jury kind of wouldn't let it go. So
I mean, you can at that point.
right. So yeah, it did not. It worked out for Mary Jane in the prosecution. It is not working out for Erasmus in the defense right now. And hence why it says right here. Erasmus slammed the notion that a ghost, Erasmus and his defense, slammed the notion that a ghost had actually made themselves appear to Mary Jane. Erasmus then proceeded to provide an eloquent and charismatic testimony. However, the jury seemed to see straight through this gossamer statement. At the end of the trial, he was found guilty, and 10 jurors even voted for him to be hanged. However,
Out of 12, right? 10 out of 12.
yeah. So because there was those 2 holdouts, not every juror voted for his death, so he was ultimately sentenced to life in prison instead. For most, the sentence was not nearly enough. For a few, the sentence was a slap in the face to justice, and they believed that they were going to have to deliver justice themselves. This culminated with a group of 30 people forming a lynching party on July 11th, 1897. Their goal was simple. They would storm the jail, they would pull Erasmus from his cell, and they would drag him to a makeshift gallows. The group was well armed and had even purchased some new rope for the occasion.
Sounds like January 6th.
It kind of does. As they started marching towards the jail, a man named George M. Hara, who had heard of the plans, rode ahead to the station to warn the sheriff of the crowd that was headed his way. Upon hearing the news, Erasmus began to completely freak out and begged to be let go. The sheriff ultimately instructed his deputies to go and disperse the crowd, while he went and hid Erasmus in the woods. In the end, Erasmus's life was spared, as the deputies managed to send everyone home without incident. Erasmus was eventually moved. What was that?
Peacefully.
Peace. Yeah. I mean, they were probably like, this is probably how it went down. They're like, guys, we get it. He deserves it. But do you want to go to jail? I mean, come on. And then he started pointing out people, be like, Big John, I don't want to see you go to prison.
Why is he Big John, bro?
I don't know. Why not? I don't know what you'd call these people. It's West Virginia. I don't
Why not
know.
just like Tom?
Bob. Sure. Bob and Tom.
Robert,
I want
Christopher.
Bob and Robert and Tom and everybody else.
Austin.
Want to go in Austin.
Boston.
And Fernando. You're there too.
No, Fernando.
You're not there?
I'm not there.
Why aren't you there?
I'm already in the gallows, bro.
Well, it's West Virginia in the late 1800s, so it's
I'm probably in the gallows if it's West Virginia in the
possible.
late 1800s.
I'm not gonna lie, it's entirely possible. But
while you're there, you're just there being like neat. Picture.
And click. Oh shit. Okay, so yeah, it's all peaceful. I mean, great. Erasmus was eventually moved to West Virginia Penitentiary in Moundsville on July 14th, 1897. For the next 3 years, Erasmus would call the penitentiary home. That would all end on March 13th, 1900, however, when Erasmus succumbed to an epidemic that ravaged the prison. Per prison policy, unclaimed bodies were buried in Tom's Run Cemetery, and as you can imagine, nobody ever came for Erasmus's corpse. Because the prison didn't keep any records until 1930, no trace of Erasmus's grave or body can be located today. He has been lost to time, and he died in the prison. I guess
It doesn't tell you what the epidemic was.
it was probably like, I don't know.
Was that the Spanish flu back then?
Yeah,
1900 epidemic.
it's possible. Could have been tuberculosis. Could have been scarlet fever. Could have been.
This wasn't San Francisco, was it?
No, it's
No,
West Virginia. Could have been the flu. I mean, seriously, it could have been influenza. I mean, like,
1900
could have been
epidemic.
a bunch of different things. Could have been the Black Plague.
Well, that's what I was just reading. There was a Black Plague outbreak in San Francisco in the 1900s.
Maybe it was
Oh, it looks like it was smallpox.
smallpox. That
Could have
actually
been smallpox. Could have been typhoid fever or tuberculosis. Yeah.
that totally tracks. So yeah.
The
Either
Spanish
way,
influenza
he
wasn't
got.
until 1918. That was World War One.
Well, either way, he didn't make it to World War One. He passed away.
Who was your favorite painter from World War One that appears in the sequel?
Oh, damn, I can't remember. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually trying to think of a painter who actually. Who was the painter? He's actually a very famous painter.
Salvador Dali.
Did he die like in the 80s? There was some like a painter I thought like it blew my mind.
There was a Spanish painter that had like it was Salvador Dali. And some of his work was inspired by the Spanish, by like the Nazi and fascist takeover of Spain.
Oh, okay,
His,
all right. He does like the melting clocks, right? And stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. All right, about that bow though.
About that Bo and Bo Peep. So as the courtroom empties out and the headlines fade, one question still remained. What actually solved this case? Was it good police work? Eventually, yes. Was it forensic evidence? Absolutely. The exhumation revealed what many had missed the first time. Injuries that pointed towards a murder unfolding rather than just simple natural causes. But that, however, is not the point. The point is that none of that would have happened without one very unusual catalyst. A grieving mother walked into a prosecutor's office and claimed her dead daughter had visited her, not once, not twice, but multiple nights in a row. And somehow, against all odds, somebody listened. Now, to be clear, no court officially accepted ghost testimony as legal evidence. The conviction of Erasmus Shue came from witness testimony, contradictions in his statements, suspicious behavior, and the findings of the autopsy. But that doesn't change the strange reality that without the story of a ghost, investigators may never have looked deeper at all. That's why this case continues to survive more than a century later. Because the Greenbrier ghost story exists in an uncomfortable space between folklore and criminal history, skeptics argue grief created the visions. Believers argue a daughter returned to demand justice. And somewhere between those two possibilities sits one undeniable fact. A murder investigation was reopened because someone claimed the dead were speaking. Cases like this force us to ask difficult questions. How much do emotions shape investigations? How many mysteries remain unsolved because nobody looked twice? And if something impossible points us towards the truth, does it matter how we get there? The mountains of West Virginia have always been filled with ghost stories. Most stay stories. This one became a history.
Good job. So what do you think, honestly? Like, what's your take on this whole thing?
I mean, it sums it up perfectly in the sense that does it really matter how we get there if we get there?
Fair. Yeah. Honestly, I agree with you. Like, what I truly think happened, first of all, no, I do not believe a ghost actually visited her.
I don't think yeah.
I think she was dreaming. I think she believed this. I don't think she was lying. Because the thing is, what purpose would lying about that be? Because no, in her mind, she was been like, no one's gonna fucking believe me. Why would I? This isn't gonna get me anywhere.
No
So I
one's
do
gonna
think
know.
she
They're gonna
truly,
know.
right? She truly believed, in my opinion, that this happened. But what I think really happened was, this was just enough for them to be like, okay, we need to relook at this. Again, going back to the prosecutor, I was like, I don't really think he believed the ghost thing. He was polite and listened, but I just think he thought something was wrong. He's like, you know what? Fine. This is enough for me to be like, hey, I'm not the only one feeling something's wrong here. We need to go dig her back up, and we need to figure out what happened. And then ultimately they found her broken neck, and then Erasmus was being an idiot and was like, I didn't do it. And then it's like, okay,
You
well,
can't prove nothing.
you can't prove it. You can't prove shit. So he just, everything kind of fell apart after that. Everything for him, I mean, everything fell into place for everybody else. So no, do I think there's a ghost? No, I don't. But I will say, it ultimately helped solve a murder. Like it really did. So really, I think the way I take this is a story of a mother's devotion and love for her daughter and just wanting to do good by her and would do whatever it takes to, give her daughter justice, which that's still a great story, I think, even without the ghost, I think it's a great story. So, but yeah, I mean, kudos to them for at least following, listening to their gut and going with this, because it could have been this could have been forgotten. We couldn't even talk about this story. It's very easy that this could not have happened, because if they never dug her back up, there'd have been no reason to talk about this ever again. So now we got a kick-ass story about a ghost being a witness to their own murder. Pretty cool shit. I would like to take this moment though, to before we kind of take off, to say, me and Fernando, are we good to do that Reddit thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Me and Fernando
It's
are
gotta be nice.
yeah, it will be nice. Me and Fernando are gonna, so we're gonna have a little more content coming. So the podcast is still gonna stay the same way. This format is gonna be an every other week thing. Typically it's on Mondays, so this isn't changing. On the week that we normally don't post anything, though, we're going to be reading stories that we get permission to use from Reddit. It's people's, whether they happen or not, I don't know. But these are people's supposedly real stories about creepy shit that happened to them. It could be ghosts. It could be demons. It could be doppelgangers, Fernando's favorite. It could be aliens. It could be anything. And we're going to read them. And we're going to talk about them. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So more content is always a good thing. We definitely need it, because people are actually, with nice things like, I love the analytics. It's one of my favorite things to look at. It's also one of the most depressing things to look at sometimes, but I do like the trajectory I'm seeing now. Like, even though we don't have like a bazillion subscribers, the watch time has been going up steadily, which I'm really happy about that. It means people are actually watching it, so that's cool. So yeah, more content will hopefully drive more viewership, and it makes this more enjoyable when there's more people to talk to about it. So yeah, keep a lookout for that, please. But okay, we can keep talking after this, but I'm gonna cut the podcast off for now. So yeah, as always, let us know what you think. Do you think it was actually a ghost? Do you not? Did we do a good job? Did we not? Like, subscribe, all that happy stuff, share, and that's all I got. Any final thoughts?
Do we have final thoughts, Lacey? What are our final thoughts?
Give me treats.
Yeah, that's probably what she's thinking. Everybody say spooky, Lacey.
Dude,
But no, just thanks for hanging out. If you watch this at all, or even if you don't watch this, like, I don't know, just anyone who's here and comes across this at all, just thank you for hanging out, and we hope to bring you more content. Hopefully we get better, get more enjoyable. I'm trying to get better at being a host and a podcaster. It's slow going, but I just have fun here talking to Austin and making fun of him, and he just bullies me and harasses me. But it's
all right.
it's
For one time a week, it's decently enjoyable.
Anyways, that's going to do it. We'll see you in the next episode where we get to talk about some Reddit stuff. So stay tuned for that. Next Monday. Next Monday, it's coming out.
I hope it's more doppelgangers.
Your favorite. All right. See you, everybody.
Yo.
Talk to you later. Stay spooky.
Stay spook.